All right, we're live.
We're
We are
live.
live.
We are live.
Yes, we did it. Right at 6. Actually, you were early today.
I
You
was
made a
very
comment.
early,
Yeah,
a full 7-ish minutes.
that's
So
very early for Lester.
very
Now,
early.
I had been sitting in the room for 20 prepping, but that's just me. I'm early to a fault. I have an issue, right? Like I waste a lot of time at the place I'm supposed to be. I will wait in my car sometimes. I like have to, I got to be somewhere, and then I'm just waiting in my car for like 5 minutes so that I'm not like that early, and then I walk in and I'm still early. It's just something that, again, it's if you're earlier on time, if you're on time, you're late. If you're late, don't bother showing up. Football coach
It's that
hammer
Tom
that in.
Coughlin time, right?
I kind of had a Tom Coughlin high school coach. That was kind
Okay,
of yeah.
that
That
explains
was
it.
he was very much into that, and I wanted to play, so I followed all the rules. So and
Nice.
then I just kind of kept that in my life. It's very rare for me to cut it close, and it is can't think of times when I've been late. The only time I'm going to be late is if like someone's put back-to-back meetings on and I can't get out of the first one. That'd be the only time. But virtually, you just pop in and out.
So, virtual is nice. Yeah, I'm not going to say I'm never too early, but it's like I'm early enough. I'm early enough where I get there. I know I have a really set schedule during my day, so I know what I have to do. I know when I have to be ready, and that's why I said I've never been late, so that's a good thing.
It's true. It's true. I can't say that for all of my co-hosts.
Oh,
So just we'll just put it that way. Leave
okay.
it leave it at that. Yeah, debuted my new hat over the I don't know if you watched the preview show with Robert, but I did finally pick up a hat to go with that jacket.
I didn't catch the video. I listened to the pod.
Oh,
I
all
got to go
right.
back and watch the video now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's over there. I'll just show it some other times. It's called
Okay.
a scally cap or something like that. It's like from Peaky Blinders,
Okay.
and it's navy and orange. I
I
found a
know
navy and orange one.
a few weeks ago you had the winter cap
I
on.
went with the stock cap because
So,
honestly, it's cold in this room. With the windows need to be
okay.
replaced. This is a very drafty room, and so we can get into winter. I was cold, but we had talked about getting like a fancy hat, like a derby hat or a fedora or something like that. I didn't really think that went with the vibe necessarily, and I found this scally cap, and I was pretty excited about it. And I found a navy and orange one. I was like, it's gotta be done, gotta be
That's
done. And
it.
then I wore the sweater vest. I got a Chris Armstrong clued me in to the fact that the Ditka sweater vest, the starter sweater vest, was on sale for Black Friday. So
Oh,
I bought one
nice.
of those, put that underneath the jacket. I mean, it is, I must say, it's an outfit.
Yeah, for
It's an
sure.
outfit.
That's good. You got to get that the sport coat, the goofy Bears only sport coat that only Robert has.
I don't want that. I
No,
mean,
come on. That's
I mean, I'm
classic.
I'm I'm happy for Robert to have that, and that's his look, and that's great. This is an actual sport coat that you
Yeah.
could get away with wearing to a professional event. I don't know
Okay.
that I would, uh, but and you know, my mom liked it,
That's
so
all that
there you
matters.
go. And she reminded me that it was called Cougar Time.
Well, what was that?
Cougar Time, being there early, everything
Oh,
earlier on time. Yep, they called it
okay.
Cougar Time. Yep,
Cougar time.
yeah, that was the mascot, Kennedy
That's
Cougars.
these days Cougar has a different meaning. So that's kind of
That's
like when I saw that in
true.
the chat here from your mom, I'm like, what is Cougar time? I'm like, what's happening here? I wasn't gonna say anything, but I'm like, I'm sure at some point there'll be an explanation. So I'm glad I got it early here. Otherwise, I'd
I
be thinking the whole time, what's
I
happening?
I mean, hey, whatever. Do your thing, mom. Do your thing. Uh, Sophisticated Bears fan. I mean, if there is
Okay.
one, I would like to think that I am. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say.
That's the
Yeah, I feel
brand for
like that
sure.
that outfit needs to be worn out somewhere. I don't know where, but I feel like I need to wear it out and really kind of show it off. So that's kind of the
Maybe when we
next.
do the training camp, we'll try and do something at training camp. We'll try and set something up.
Why
So
sweater vest in August feels like a bad idea,
yeah, maybe
Lester.
so.
So
We'll
anyway,
figure something out.
somewhere maybe like a costume party or an ugly sweater party, because it's not an ugly sweater though. It's a gorgeous sweater. I mean, this is the Ditka sweater vest. I mean, so it's really kind of going against grain there. But hey, something.
Of course.
Somebody invite me to a party, and I will show up in that outfit. How's that?
That's a plan.
Want to do a podcast?
Yeah, the Bears did play a game, so I guess we got something to do here.
Okay. All right. Let's do that. Welcome to Bear and Balance. I'm Jeff Berckes, a writer for Windy City Gridiron, and I'm joined by the editor of that fine website, Lester A. Wiltfong Jr. Lester, same movie, different day. The Bears lose to the Packers. It looked like we might get a different result, but the end result was what we are so familiar with. How did you take in the game?
All the years I've been watching Bears and Packers, right? I think this may have been the one where I wasn't quite as upset at the loss. And it's because I have the big picture in mind here. I was rooting for a win. You know, I know there are a lot of fans that wanted the loss. They were rooting for a loss. I was rooting for a win. The way I look at the whole tank situation is I'm a fan, so I'm rooting for my team. But the silver lining, if they do lose, I get that. You know, it helps the draft position. My rooting interest doesn't affect the game one way or the other. So why would I sit here and root for an L? And then if they win, then am I upset? Am I sad my favorite team won, which I wanted for them to lose? It's just a weird thing. So I'm rooting for wins. I get the big picture. So I wasn't upset at the loss, especially with the way the offense and Justin Fields played.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of that scene in Tommy Boy where he gets the waitress to go back and get the wings, you know, like, are you sure that grill's closed, right? And he goes into the whole thing. And David Spade's like, you know, how'd you do that? Whatever. And he's like, hey man, if it didn't work out, we got that half a pizza back in the hotel room. Right? Like, hey man, like if it doesn't work, we still got the half a pizza. Hey, if it doesn't work, we still got the higher draft position.
Exactly.
A good way to look at it. We'll get into a little bit of more of the tank mentality, or at least what you need to know for that. I'm going to have a little bit of information on that coming up. But
Nice.
first, we are going to do our trench tribute like we do because football starts up front. Trench Tribute this year is being sponsored by our friends at Portillo's $100 gift card every single week, plus a personal handwritten note from me, which is worth at least 5 cents. So, you know, it's $100 plus whatever value you put on that note. Give us your player of the week wherever you get your Bear and Balance. 2ndcitygridiron@gmail.com is our email address. Put it on the tweet, put it on the YouTube, put it on the Facebook, put it on the article at Windy City Gridiron. Wherever that is, you get entered in the drawing. And then Lester sends me a note, says pick a number, and I do a random number generator. Been doing it for a while. Works out pretty well. Am I going first this week or are you?
I think I'm first this week.
All right, hit it.
And I thought the Bears offensive line had one of their better games. Obviously, there were no sacks allowed this week, which is the first time since I looked it up yesterday. I forget what it was. I think it was 3 years, long time. So
Wow.
Hasn't happened in a while. It might have been 2 years. It's on my tweet. You can find it at Wiltfong GR somewhere out there in the Twitterverse. But they all did pretty good on the O-line. But I'm going to go with Alex Leatherwood. It was just 10 snaps, okay? But I was impressed with what he did in his 10 snaps, and I'm actually going to do a little film breakdown on Second City Gridiron here coming up this week. So I actually had a chance to go through and watch his stuff, and man, he didn't make any mistakes. He didn't really stand out negatively. There were a couple plays where if I was going to be a harsh grader, I probably could have done something, but honestly, overall, through his 10 reps, I can't complain.
That's what I had written down because
I
think it's pretty fun for a guy to come in that way. It looks like we're going to get some more reps from Leatherwood. He's going to continue to work his way in. We heard that from Coach Eberflus today, and so that's something to keep in mind here. But you know, this is a first round draft pick that was cut after having a pretty rough year last year in Las Vegas.
We're being honest,
right?
Bad year.
Gets cut, and Bears are the only team to claim him. This is a first round pick, right? This is a guy that has the pedigree. Bears are the only team to put a claim in. Bears assume his salary, so it's a little bit of a risk, right? But again, if you claim him, then you get him. If you don't, then you would have to fight for the rest of the teams that are going to try to put him on the practice squad, whatever, and he can choose where he wants to go. Bears want to try to add talent. They do so, but by doing so, that means they have to have him on the active roster. He comes in and almost immediately gets sick. It comes down with mono, right?
Mono, yeah.
So that's a tough illness. Like, you don't, it's pretty random and it's tough to come back from. So, especially as an offensive lineman, if you lose some weight, right, you got to get back up to playing shape. So he does. He works into the new system. He's on the active roster. He's inactive most games. And then here it is. He gets an opportunity. He gets a few reps and looks like he's earned that right to continue to get those reps. Just that story, to me, deserves a trench tribute because you are showing that you are working through whatever the heck happened in Vegas. Like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas as far as I'm concerned with Alex Leatherwood. Let's bring him over here. It's a fresh canvas. It's a fresh start. Let's build from these 10 reps. Like you said, you didn't see any mistakes. I didn't either. Maybe nothing's blowing you off the page yet. But again, start him in slow, build some confidence here in the last month of the year, and come in next year to see if he can compete for one of those 5 jobs on the offensive line.
When you look at how he was drafted, he was a first-round pick. A lot of analysts thought he was overdrafted. And that's probably fair. I mean, obviously, the talent was there at Alabama. He was a left tackle in Alabama. He went to Las Vegas. He went to the right side, right tackle, right guard. A lot of times, these guys just can't flip sides. A lot of times, it takes these guys a few years before they can really, settle in with a new technique on the right from the left. So, I thought he'd go back to the left side when the Bears claimed him. I thought maybe the future at left guard. I thought maybe a good fit for him there. But the Bears, they see him as a right tackle, it seems. So another year of working at the right side. He was there last year. He was there again this year. Maybe he's getting more comfortable. Maybe the technique is starting to set in. We talked about it's like, everything is opposite. He's not used to doing things on the right side. It just takes some time. So if he could be the guy moving forward, I mean, the talent's there. The athleticism is there. His athleticism in his 10 reps showed up. There was, I think, the very first rep he had, he kind of checked inside, and he still had the quickness to get outside to cut off the edge rusher. So it's like, we haven't seen that from a Bears right tackle this season. Someone able to kind of do the inside check and then get out. He did it. I like what I saw from Leatherwood in his few reps. Like you said, he's in it. Keep doing it. So let's keep building off that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a drop of water into an ocean, right? Like that's not enough to make any kind of determination. We will see what we can gather from the last 4 games. You hope that he gets increased amount of reps throughout the last 4 games. Good learning opportunity for him. It is one of the few things that we can learn about this Bears football team in the last 4 weeks of the year that we haven't learned already. And so this is an exciting development. Let's move on to the tweet of the week. You are starting off with some familiar name.
Some positivity. Sylvie is our guy at Waddle and Sylvie. He had a tweet. You can choose to be upset. Losing to the Packers sucks, and it wasn't the finish Fields wanted. But I'm telling you, Fields going to take the Bears places we as Bears fan base have not seen in years. And he'll remember today as a valuable teaching moment. And I think that's something we have to understand where this team is. They're 3-10. We know the big picture here. We know what's happening here. But I'm excited about Justin Fields next season. I'm excited to see what he can do with a revamped O-line, with, better receivers around him, another year in the system, a better defense to where that, when he's putting up 30 points, they're not giving up 35. So I'm excited for the future. And yeah, maybe I have been the same way a few years past. The Mitch Trubisky, mirage that we all saw. We were all excited a little bit for that. There's been some Jay Cutler years, Rex Grossman, obviously we all had some hope here, but it just feels different, man. He's just so electric as a football player. The passing was a little better this last week. He was 20 of 25. So I'm excited. And I think with Sylvie, what Sylvie says here, we're all excited as a fan base.
Again, this is checking the big box that we put on the checklist at the beginning of the year. Is Justin Fields a guy?
Is he?
And we're feeling like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like he has done everything that we can reasonably ask for. Now the goalposts continue to get moved around on Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears team. I think it's lack of imagination or lack of column inches. Once you answer the question and you still have 6-7 weeks of the year left, what do? Well, you move the goalpost so that you can ask more questions and you can try to get more information. It is what it is. You're just going to have to live with the fact that there are some columnists and some reporters that are going to do that. It's not what we're doing, right? We feel like we feel pretty good. We're trying to focus on other aspects of the roster to try to squeeze out some answers with the final few games. But I think that's right. It is what it is. You don't want to lose to the Packers. You don't want to listen to that number 12 guy talk about how it's his second home and all that BS. And like, no, I don't have any interest in that either. But big picture, like this was hopefully the final time we have to deal with that crap, and we're going to move on to a new era here. I think Justin Fields has shown enough that we're going to see a much different football team going forward. Just to remind you, the Bears are spending more on players that don't play for the Chicago Bears on defense than they are for players that are playing for the Chicago Bears on defense this year. They have the most cap space in the league set for next year, and number 2 isn't even close. Like, they have a ton of money. Justin Fields' excitement level is very high, so you would imagine that a lot of free agents are going to be pretty excited to come to Chicago because 1, they're going to get paid, and 2, they're going to get to play with Justin Fields. And that does matter and you're going to be in a big market. And so that matters because you're going to get a lot of primetime games, which means you're going to get more notoriety, which means you have a better opportunity to make more Pro Bowls and make more money down the line. That is what it is. This is a business for these guys too, right? Yes, they love the game, but it is a business. And at the end of the day, these are good business decisions. And if there's any agents worth their salt, they're going to be pushing their players to go play with Justin Fields. So I think that long run, you got to be pretty happy about what you've seen.
Yeah, I'm excited. So how about you? What's your tweet this week?
I got a 2-parter. This is from Jonathan Wood. Everybody knows Jay Wood on
Yeah.
Twitter. So he laid it out. Bears ran 15 plays inside Green Bay's 30 yesterday. They only let Fields throw it on 4 of them. 3rd and 9, which was a scramble. 3rd and 24. Okay. Completion short of the sticks, which, 3rd and 24. 1st and 10, a screen to Montgomery, and 3rd and 9, interception down 9 with 40 seconds left, which kind of scrubbed that one off the books. Second part of that, our friend Brenda Weber at Brenda J. Weber, she was actually replying to a very similar comment, but I'm putting them together. She says, exactly, except I am blaming Getsy for those drives and the loss. And I wanted to bring up a little bit, like, what happened here? Like, I titled this Scared Money Don't Make Money.
Yeah.
And that is what happened, in my opinion, here. The Bears had a lead. Like, they were winning this football game. And then they started to play like they were scared and they clammed up. This is not the actions of a team that is not a good football team and is an underdog. You're up in a game, you're playing with house money. Go for it, man. Like, play your game, score points, and try to put this team away. They didn't do it. They allowed Green Bay back in the game, and they got put away late.
There was some talk about tanking. That was, of course, the big talk on social media. Oh, the Bears are tanking on purpose here. They're blowing the game on purpose. I just never bought that.
No.
We've seen Luke Getsy get conservative several times this year. That's just who he is. I think he understands who his team is. He knows that what he has there. Yes, you want to see him put the ball in Justin Fields' hands as much as possible. You want to see him make plays. But the other part of this is Justin Fields is coming off that shoulder injury. He tried to play last week. Of course, that he wasn't cleared. He was cleared this week to play. I just think that at some point during the game planning, the coaching staff said, hey, we're going to try and limit Justin Fields' hits as much as possible. We're not going to do as many designed runs. I think he had maybe 3 in the first half, and I can't think if he had any at all in the second half. So I think maybe they decided they're going to limit some of his runs. They were going to try and be conservative to a fault, and that's kind of what we saw there. And like I said, ultimately, it worked out for the Bears because the offense still looked good in spurts. They still keep that high draft pick in play here. So, what are you going to do? I think they just want to be safe and smart with the quarterback.
Yeah, I just think that you're going to have to change that approach here.
Yes, you are.
I mean, again, okay, nothing matters this year, whatever. But at some point, that stuff's got to get thrown out. You got to learn your lesson from that because, again, you had a team on the ropes. You got to finish them. And you end up losing by 2 scores. You end up losing by 9 points, right? So you got these opportunities. You got to take them. Kyle Santos didn't look very good yesterday. It was kicking weird. Like, there was just something about the release off the foot that wasn't looking right yesterday, and you kind of just acted like he was nails, right? And he wasn't. So you're not taking in that factor either. So a little bit, they kind of got what they deserved in a lot of ways from that. Let's move on to the stats. Caught up in a numbers game. What did you have for a number this week?
For my number, it kind of goes along with the offense, how it's been clicking here. And my number is 45.09%. And that is the Chicago Bears' third down percentage this season. And that ranks sixth in the entire NFL. Sixth.
That's pretty good.
Last year, they were dead last. So a nice improvement here. And listen to these 5 teams ahead of the Bears. The third down conversion, that's a winning stat, right?
Yeah,
usually teams that have that, they win games.
I'd assume Buffalo, Kansas City,
Chiefs,
Philly. Okay. I don't know after that.
Cincinnati.
Those 3. Oh, Cincinnati.
Bengals,
okay, that makes sense.
And the 49ers. So the 5 teams ahead of them are right there. They're like the top, the top teams contending for the title. So the Cowboys are right below the Bears. So we're talking all these teams here. The Bears are in the same echelon as these great offenses. 45% of the time they convert third downs. A lot of that's Justin Fields. His scrambling ability, keeping plays alive, doing it with his arm, with his feet. But again, it goes back to what we're talking about. Get this guy some talent around him. This could be, it's going to be a weird sentence. This could be one of the best offenses in the entire NFL next season, because we saw him do it in the stretch here with Justin Fields. So, man, it's just a weird, the Bears suck this year. They're 3-10, but the future's so bright.
Yeah, again, we said it at the top of the season. The worst, it's not the worst thing in the world if the Bears prove that Justin Fields is the guy and they get a high draft pick moving into next year. Rolls into my comment here, my number 8. I think there are 8 teams that you guys need to be concerned with in terms of draft position. And I'm going to go through that. Team 1 is the Texans. Texans have 1.5 wins. They have a tie, so that's basically 1.5 wins. They've got a tough schedule for the next 3 weeks. They're not going to sniff a win unless something crazy happens. But they do play 2 divisional foes in the last 2 weeks. They play the Jags and they play the Colts to end the year. There's a potential there that you could see the Texans rattle off a couple of wins. I wouldn't count on it. I think they've got kind of the first overall pick kind of locked up, but at least think about the Texans in that way. There are a couple 3-win teams that have the same number of wins as the Bears. That's the Broncos and the Rams. They've got some winnable games and they play each other. So that's important because one of them has to win. I suppose they can tie, which would be great in some ways, but one of them is going to win that game, and that's going to move one of them out of that draft position. There are 4-win teams that if the Bears do win one of their final games, you'll have to worry about them. The Panthers, the Saints, the Jags, and the Cards. And I think the Cardinals have a lot of winnable games. That's the one I'm least worried about in terms of jumping the Bears in draft order. The Jags, I think, they've got a good shot. They've been up and down. Saints, they play later tonight, and they've been kind of in the same way. They've been up and down a little bit. Andy Dalton, right? Panthers are kind of dead in the water. I'd be worried about them. So if the Bears do win a game, you may have some tiebreak things. That's 7 teams. Who's the 8th team? The Vikings. You got to worry about the Vikings here. So the Vikings, they are basically a game plus out of the number 1 seed right now. They're 1 game behind the Eagles, but the Eagles beat them, so they don't have the tiebreaker. So, and then for the 2 seed, they are like 2 games up on the 49ers. And then the NFC South divisional lead is under 500. So they're not going to compete with the Vikings for the 2 seed. So what you have to think about there is that if the Vikings have no chance of losing the 2 seed or gaining the 1 seed when the Bears play them in week 18, they're required to play the football game, but they're not required to play their starters. So they can sit all of their top-notch players. They can run fullback dive 50 times. I'm sure Aaron would at least like that. But, other than that, they don't have to do anything. They can just basically try to get out of there healthy. They can let the Bears win 50-0. They don't care, right? And so, in a way, if you want the high draft position, and what good would it be for going up against the backups and winning that game anyway? But like, if you want the high draft position, you want to at least have the Vikings playing for something. And so you need to kind of keep track of what the Vikings are doing as well, which means you got to also kind of keep track of the Eagles and the 49ers. So those are the teams that you got to think about. If the Bears do lose their last 4 games, the worst that they can do is have the number 3 overall pick because the Broncos and Rams play each other. I think it's very possible if they lose out that they'll have the number 2 overall pick. If they win just 1 game, I think the worst that they can do is something like 7th or 6th or something like that. But it's probably not even going to be that low, given that some of these teams are going to win football games.
Yeah.
So I think that the reality is, if you want to cheer for the tank, fan how you want to fan, but at least those are the teams that you have to recognize. I'm still going to cheer for them to win football games, even if they're going to be double-digit underdogs here in the next few weeks. But I think that it's a real thing. It is a real thing that we're going to have to keep track of and look at. And the reality is, it's not that necessarily you'd even use that pick. It could be that that pick is very valuable and you would trade out of it, and you could have multiple players that you could take from a trade down that could then stock this roster with starting caliber players at all the different positions that we've seen need competition. And so it is kind of important here at the last few weeks to see where this does settle out.
Yeah, you talk about the draft position. I mean, it looks like Houston's going to have a quarterback first overall, unless they trade out of there and do something crazy to pick up a lot of picks and acquire guys. But quarterback's going top, and then you got a couple really good defensive players there, that are going to be up there for the Bears to take, and both will be immediate starters for Chicago. Will Anderson, Jalen Carter. I mean, both these guys are right there. So you got to look at what other teams want quarterbacks. It's like a game Ryan Poles has to play. Can I trade back and get one of my guys? Is it a game you even want to play at all? I mean, is there enough depth where you kind of move back no matter what and still get quality? It's going to be interesting. The draft's going to be fun. The whole offseason, seeing how they build this up. You talked about all that money they have. Are they going to attack the interior D line and go edge in the draft? There's some options here for them. So it's going to be fun. The Bears are not going to be favored to win any of these games except for possibly the Viking game, like you said, if they're resting their starter. So it helps. If if you're looking for the tank, it's probably going to happen regardless, because Eagles, Bills, Lions in Detroit, and Lions, that offense has been fantastic lately, and the Bears defense can stop nobody. So that they're going to put up a ton of points on the Bears, and then the Vikes. So it's going to be a fun way to close out the season.
Something to watch, something to track.
Exactly.
So, well, let's talk about Justin Field. We already talked about a little bit. Let's get into the full Fields report here. 20 of 25 for 254 yards. One of his better passing days in terms of just the completion percentage numbers, how he looked. Did not have a touchdown pass and threw 2 interceptions. Now, both of those interceptions, I think you can kind of explain them away, but that's not how it works in the stat book. Pretty poor route on the first one. Second one, trying to force it in there, trying to make something happen with time running out. He added 71 yards on 6 carries, one of them for a touchdown, which was that amazing 55-yarder that we're going to be watching. Add another one to the highlight reel, an absolutely just unbelievable run. That really just I couldn't stop thinking about it. Just how great that was. They showed, I think, like 6 replays, because I think even the announcers were pretty impressed. But overall, what did you think of his performance in this game?
I really think he's growing as a passer. I know a lot of people that just kind of look at the box scores, they still don't see it. They're just not watching the games. I mean, there were a few plays again that we've seen in the past, and then again this game, where he keeps his eyes downfield. He's scrambling not to run, because the situation dictates that he's scrambling to make a play with his arm, and he's doing it. We saw the one pass to Kmet. We saw him do another one down the sideline to N'Keal Harry. I mean, that was off a scramble. He's looking to make plays. Again, get this guy some talent. And maybe some of these guys on the roster may blossom. I'm sure Chase Claypool will be here next year, regardless. Darnell Mooney's going to come back from injury. but if you can find a couple other guys there that you really can count on, because I mean, Byron Pringle did nothing in the game yesterday. He's really done nothing this whole season. Of course, he's had some injuries, but he's a free agent, so you're gonna have to find someone else for that spot. Equinemius St. Brown had a nice deep play, but you talked about the interception. That was on him. It was a sloppy route. It wasn't the best route, and even the corner from the Packers talked about it, how we kind of knew based on his route what he was doing, and then he didn't come back to the ball so aggressively. So that's, again, you can't explain away the pick because it's still on Fields' stat line, but that's a play that a better receiver makes for Justin Fields.
Yeah, Jair Alexander, I think, basically said we made Equinemius St. Brown play wide receiver. I think that was basically that comment there.
That's terrible.
Alexander was sitting on the route. He was kind of doing that all game, and he got burnt once, and then it paid off at the end there. Again, it is what it is. It's always tough when you throw interceptions. I think you put a little bit more blame on the wide receiver for that one. But overall, I think the rushing was clearly tamped down. Like you said, they probably came in with a plan and said, okay, the easy button can only be used 4 times, whatever it was, right? Like there was clearly a conversation that said, pick your spots. Once you use them, that's it. Like we can't run this guy 17 times like we have in the past. And that's for the best. But I think that the passing numbers were great. I know it sounds weird, like 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions to say that, but I thought he was on point like that and taking chances too. I mean, 254 yards on 20 completions is pretty good. I mean, he took his shots too. So this wasn't just dump offs and behind the line of scrimmage stuff, which they called, right? Like there was some of that. They're trying to get, Claypool going and all that. But overall, I mean, I think it was one of his better games. And it's just a weird thing to say when it's 2 interceptions, right? He had an over 100 passer rating until those interceptions late. So he was looking good.
He's right there, and you talk about a lot of those really quick ones to Chase Claypool. I think some of those, the timing just a little off on those, and that's part of it is they haven't played in just we only played together for about a month. I think once they get those kinks worked out, and once they have a full offseason together, once they have a chance another season to work on the screen game, because Getsy comes from the Packers, and the Packers have the most beautiful screen game of anyone. That's just all, they've always done it well. A lot of it's of course Aaron Rodgers, but we're seeing Justin Fields kind of has some of the same moxie, some of the same stuff he's doing with his ball handling. So it helps. So again, next year, man, it's going to be fun.
Before we break, to make that point, I believe it was Rodgers that said at one point an actual football thing and not some, I don't know, ayahuasca or some crazy conspiracy theory that he's into or whatever, right? But like an actual football thing that I thought was insightful was that he said that he and a lot of other quarterbacks will work on like one thing in the offseason. They're going to perfect one thing. And, whether it's working on their footwork or whether it's, the arm angle or the off platform stuff or whatever it is, like they really like focus in on trying to elevate one aspect of their game. And these guys are around for a long time. These established quarterbacks are around for a long time. And so you think about it, like, Rodgers has been playing 15 years. He's almost 40 years old, right? Like he's been around the game for a long time. These guys can stack these off seasons where they improve an aspect of their game. And Justin Fields takes that advice and he does that. He goes into the off season, he perfects some aspect of his game, and you keep stacking those. You're going to see improvement from him over the years. And so you already know that he has the ability to have deep ball accuracy. You haven't necessarily had the guys running underneath it or, enough of the play calls or the protection for there to be that. But you saw a couple of them this game, right? You know that he can make the plays with his legs. That got unlocked. Great. That's the natural athletic part. And that helps unlock some of the intermediate throws. He's been nails on the intermediate throws. He's been great, right? So maybe you add some of that screen game element, right? The shorter stuff, the quicker processing. Maybe that's what really gets added in the next offseason. And never know where, you start adding more and more elements in. Defenses can't take away all that.
Yeah.
Right. And you can shift, your game plan, and you can add and subtract to make something that works against whatever defense you're going against. And you can't be stopped. Right. I mean, I don't want to draw a straight line and just say like this is going right up to the Bills' potential or the Eagles' potential, whatever. But they're already scoring points before this, and so it's not crazy to me that they they could really take off here with some additional talent. So quick break. On the other side of this, we'll get into everybody's favorite segment, the Three Bears. All right, Lester, we're back. Let's talk Three Bears: hot bowl of porridge, cold bowl of porridge, and just right. Who did you identify for the hot bowl of porridge?
I had a tough time this week for the hot because while there were some nice performances, nothing that really stood out. I could have went with the old, pick a play or two. I mean, the play to Harry was great down the sideline. Justin Fields obviously had the run, a couple of the really exciting plays, and I don't want to just go Justin Fields and go that way. No other guys. Obviously, defense had a couple guys that maybe the Sanborn thing I could have went to, but it wasn't. I think we're used to him getting double-digit tackles now, and that's normal. So I can't go that way. So I'm going to go a little outside the box thinking here, and I'm going to go hot Ryan Poles because with the loss, it keeps him closer to that top 5 draft pick. And we talked about it. Players don't tank. Coaches don't tank. Organizations can tank. And, he saw this team gutted, dead cap space. He knew they wouldn't win this year. That's how he built it. He built it with a bunch of replacement level players just to kind of get through this season because he knew the future was going to be bright for him. So I got to go Ryan Poles because I see his vision here. But now it's on him. He's got to make sure he comes through and brings the right pieces in place and spends the money wisely, drafts correctly. If he doesn't do that, then of course the Bears are going back where they were. But I think Ryan Poles is sitting pretty good right now with what he sees in the future.
Yeah, I like that. I think that makes a lot of sense. Poles, like you said, he told you what he wanted to do at the beginning of the year. We sat here and we said that too. I thought 3 wins sounded kind of ridiculous in terms of what the potential was. Sports Illustrated comes out, says Bears are only going to win 3 games. Oh, come on. Like the 3 wins, and then you get in the season and they got the wins early and you're like, see, like they're going to blow past 3 wins. And now we're sitting here like 3 wins. Yeah, that's kind of where it's at. So I think that is true. Like the GM can put a team in position where it says we're not going to win a lot of football games, and that was necessary to a large degree to basically get away from all of the sins of the Ryan Pace era and try to clear cap and all of that. And so that really was what this year was. It's a reset year, but it's also an opportunity to learn about a lot of players and see where you're at. In a lot of ways, this worked out perfect for him. Now, maybe not a perfect offseason. I think he would have done some things differently. I think he would have made the move for Amari Cooper, and he wouldn't have been chasing that, which ended up leading to trading for Chase Claypool, right? Like I mean, I don't think that he would have done the same things. And Larry Ogunjobi looks pretty good, right? I don't know that he would have maybe pulled the offer if he would have known that the knee looks pretty decent over in Pittsburgh. But for me, I actually am going to just go with the N'Keal Harry catch. He only ran he was only on the field for 6 plays,
right? Yeah,
very
efficient, very efficient.
Yeah, very efficient. Yards per play that he was on the field is pretty high for a wide receiver. There was a great catch. And, any time that I think he makes a play, I think that's got to feel good for him. Again, this is another first round pick that failed out in his first team. He's getting another chance. I know he didn't get a lot of reps here. I know that that's probably pretty disappointing for him. But if he continues to make plays, you could see them wanting him to be back in the building and see what a full offseason can look like. And, if he's your wide receiver 5, right, receiver 4 or 5 or something like that, where he can come in and run those routes down the field and, pair him with another big guy like Claypool, right? I mean, you could see some things maybe developing off of that, but I thought that was just a great play. It's great to see. It's one of the highlights of the year so far. N'Keal Harry for me.
I watched that play over and over because that was one of the plays that Alex Leatherwood was in the game for, and I was watching that play because I was grading this stuff out, and as I was going, with the button for rewind, it kept going back to the play and the replay, and he leaped up. He twisted his body. He fell, landed on his back, and he kind of just bounced back in a flip right back up. And it was like, I mean, he's a big dude, and Justin Fields talked about he's good at going up and getting it. There's always been some fan chatter that maybe he's a tight end in the future. I don't know. Maybe there's something here with him, and you kind of work to see what he is in a full off season and let the Bears coaching staff decide how to best use him because there's something there. I mean, he's a physical specimen. He's fast. So maybe that's in the future.
You're a big guy. I fellow offensive lineman. Could you picture yourself doing that kind of pirouette type in the air and then being able to bounce out of it in like the amount of energy and athleticism that goes
Yeah,
into something like that? It's just unfathomable to me. Like I don't understand how he is able to do that, but it was a really cool play
it was
and
cool.
really cool athletic play. So, what about on the other side? Who you got for the cold bowl porridge this week?
I could have gone a lot of different ways with this, but I'm going to do a collective to the pass rush
Hmm.
because 0 sacks, 0 quarterback hits. Aaron Rodgers had a lot of time to look around, and he was not very good. 18 of like 31, 100.
Right.
He was less than 200 yards passing. Chicago secondary, the beat up secondary with Josh Blackwell back there and a bunch of undrafted guys. You know they did pretty good, but the pass rush did nothing. If the pass rush would have gave anything this game, it's probably a win because again, Aaron Rodgers just was able to sit back there. So they have no one on that D line. There's not one player on this team that's going to be starting, I think, at D line next year. Maybe Justin Jones, maybe, but I've got a feeling they're going to address 3 tech pretty aggressively, which puts him either to the bench or to the other tackle. And there's no one on this D line that's going to be worthy of a starting spot next season.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think that the best that you have is maybe defensive end three, right? Like, I think one of those, Travis Gibson or Dominique Robinson, is going to be your third defensive end. I think you're going to get 2 new ones. I think, Al-Qadi Muhammad's going to be a one and done in
Get out
Chicago.
of
I have
here.
no interest in bringing him back, right? So I think that, yeah, that's a good cold bowl for me. I already teased it earlier, but to me, it's Getsy. Uh, I don't know what happened there. I don't know what happened. Sometimes I guess you can just kind of hit a cold spell with your play calling and just kind of lose yourself. But you had a real opportunity there. I honestly, I understand draft position, all that stuff. Like, my brain understands that. But in terms of Bears fans don't always just think with their brain. Let's just put it that way, right? Like they would gladly trade whatever draft position whatever draft capital they're going to sacrifice for a win against Green Bay, especially at home, especially potentially the last time that Rodgers is coming there. Like I would say that if you put a poll in the field in 100 random Bears fans, I would say you would get over 90% that would say, no, I'd rather have the win in a meaningless season against Green Bay because it means a lot. It means a lot to the fandom. And you had the opportunity, you had the momentum, you had the lead, and for whatever reason, you got scared. Scared money don't make money. I already mentioned it. And to me, you deserve this cold bowl porridge, Luke Getsy.
Well deserved. Yeah, that's the other way to go for sure. Real quick about Al-Qadim Muhammad. Did you see him on that jet sweep? Just completely bite inside, had no contain at all. I almost gave it to him again this week just because of that one play there. It was just yeah, he's gone. He's I can't see him sticking around
What
next season.
what would you say you do here?
Exactly.
What's your just right?
I'm going tight end Cole Kmet, 6 receptions, 72 yards. You know, again, he's looking good. His run blocking was decent. His pass blocking, the few times he was in, was okay. He's at some point, the Bears may think, man, maybe we should extend this guy. He's probably on their list. I'm sure they have a list of guys they want to extend at some point. He may be on there. I mean, he's again, we liked him. We've talked about him all season. He had a rough stretch there where he was like really bad. But he seems to have settled in. The Bears see who he is now. He's a better a scheme fit for this offense. It's just easy to scheme him open and stuff. Yeah, he doesn't have the elite athleticism, but he's not slow. I mean, he can get down the seam, and we saw him do a few things this season. Of course, he had the nice catch a week ago, or it was 2 weeks ago now. I cannot forget, but his hands are decent. And Cole Kmet, 6 receptions, 72 yards. I want to see this every week out of Cole Kmet.
I had the same thing.
See,
It's on 7 targets, so very efficient. It's not like you got 15 targets and he only pulled down 6 of them, right? Like 6 out of 7 in terms of the percentage that he caught. That's great. 72 yards on 6 catches is great. Like there's nothing wrong with that. That's a very good tight end number. That's what you want to see out of your guy, right? And like you said, we came into the year being very high on him because he was featured in camp and it was pretty, and he looked good. And it
yeah,
was like, hey man, this is going to be the guy. And we talked about it, and then I don't know. And then first month of the year, we both felt like, okay, maybe we were
maybe
wrong.
not. Yeah,
Maybe that was not a thing. Maybe we got fooled, right? I think over the long haul of the year, you get over those initial early bumps in the road with the new offense and all that. We're gonna look back. We're gonna look at the stat line for the year and gonna say Cole Kmet had a good year. This
solid.
looks like a good, solid player and someone that you want on your football team. Maybe eventually you'd love to find the next Travis Kelsey. Sure, who wouldn't want to
Yeah,
find a Hall of Fame tight end? But until that happens, until that opportunity presents itself, you got a good football player here. There's a lot of football players on this team that need to be backups that are put in starting roles, right? Like, so there's a lot of work to be done. I think Cole Kmet has proven that he is a building block for this offense going forward. There seems to be a true connection with Justin Fields as well. So I'm right there with you. Exactly what we would expect, 6 for 72. So that's our show. What do you got to close out?
um, it's just again, big picture. It's the whole tank debate online. It just annoys the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I just don't understand it because, like, first off, let people fan how they want to fan. If you want to root for your L, that's fine. Do your thing. But there's like arguments and you know, how dare you want to see them win? Don't you understand? Yeah, people understand. I mean, we get it. We get the big picture. But like I said at the top, what I want to see happen does not affect the product in the field. So why would I root for a loss and then they win, and then am I mad? Am I sad? Come on, just win the game. If you don't win the game, hey, that's fine because now the draft pick's still there. It's just really strange.
You still got that half a pizza back in the
I
hotel
still
room.
got that half a pizza. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the thing. I feel like it's 4:58 and I've got my bag packed and the car's running and we're heading to the airport and we're going to get away. Because you know what next week is? It's a bye week.
Bye.
And that's going to be nice because it's week 14. It's a bye week for the Bears. It's a late bye week. Well, hopefully they get some things worked on. They're able to get some rest. Do you know what else that means? Is that you and I get to have some rest. So that'll be nice because we've been going at the rapid pace that we
Yeah.
have been going for 14 weeks, 13 weeks. And so and in August too, we were hitting it pretty hard in August at training camp and everything. So programming note, we will be off next week. We're going to take the bye week with the Bears and we'll be back after the next game and we'll run out the rest of the year with you. It'll be another 4 games after that. But I will get that Portillo's gift card sent out. So make sure that you get in your entries for that. We'll stick around here for a little bit with the YouTube crowd. But until then, enjoy the bye week. Go do something for your mental health. And we'll see you next time. Bear down.
So do you ever have any nice big plans for the bye week? Like I used to always like 'cause I got a family, I got kids and all that stuff. So I would always do the thing where, like, if the Bears have a bye coming up, I wouldn't tell anybody, my family. I'd be like, how about we just go to the such and such on this Sunday? Don't you have the Bears game? Let's just go do something with the family. I mean, I would tell them eventually, but for a little while they're thinking, man,
That's like there was a tweet
you
going around
skipping
where
the Bears?
it said, I mean, I'm sure it was staged because nothing is real, but like, um, honey, I'm gonna skip Tuesday night football this week and to take you out to dinner. Really? And it's like, yeah, okay, there's no Tuesday night football, but yeah, I don't know about that. I don't think I can get away with it. I think the question would be when do the Bears play? And I'd be like,
Yeah,
they don't,
yeah.
right? Like I couldn't get away with that, but and nor would I want to, right? I mean, it is what it is. I don't know. Do I have any? I don't think I have anything planned, but that doesn't mean that I won't come up with something. But unfortunately, I mean, December. It's cold,
It's
right?
cold.
Like,
Yeah,
I
it
mean, if the
sucks.
bye week is in October, then at least you can plan something and you're probably going to get good weather. But man,
This late buy stinks because
it is bad.
like when they had the early buy, or like earlier buy, like in the
I didn't like
fall.
that either, but
Yeah,
yeah,
well, I didn't
it's better
mind it
than this.
because like what we would do is we would go to like a pumpkin patch or something, or an
Nice.
orchard, something like that. Always on a Sunday because it's always a better day to get out and do that. So, but like you said, it's December. What the hell are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Christmas shop? I don't know.
Supposed to take a nap. I don't know. Joseph says rooted for the win, but figured they did. I mean, yeah,
They're
they met
tanking
your
on their own.
expectations.
Yeah,
They met,
they're gonna
yeah,
tank regardless
yeah.
because they're just
It's because
they
they're
have a
not
bad
good.
team. Yeah,
I mean, they're out talented.
yeah.
That's the that's the deal. So Nate agrees with us, Leatherwood. So
He's
that's
ready.
pretty
He
cool.
thinks he's
Yeah,
gonna win.
he's already
Man,
spending that $100. It's like that money's already spent. And by the way, this doesn't count. You have to go. This is the chat.
no, you know
So
what? I count these.
do you
I
really?
do count these. It's complicated because I have to
Boy,
when I do my counting, I have to go through and I have to tabulate them. But yeah, these count. If they're in there and I can see them, I'll count them.
okay, all
I'm
right, good for you.
dedicated,
I would
man.
have made them. That's why you handle your end of it, and
Yeah,
I handle
agree.
the numbers and the writing. So, um, yeah, I didn't. It was interesting. Josh Blackwell was in coverage a few times. I mean, those numbers from Rogers are bad.
Yeah,
Just, I mean, those are bad numbers. I know, at the end of the game, got stuff figured out, but like that was a bad game. That's not an MVP quarterback, right? Like, I mean, that was a bad game, and at some level, I thought, oh well, this will be his bounce back because he's got the Bears secondary. Mike White just diced him up. I don't know. Maybe Mike White greater than Aaron Rodgers at this point.
yeah. I thought Josh Black was solid. I thought Jalen Jones had a few nice moments. A couple undrafted free agents for the Bears. If one of these guys can turn into something, that's another win for Ryan Poles.
John likes Musty. Musty fan number 2 to you. So
He was okay in the game. He performed like I thought he would perform.
there you go.
Yeah.
3 touchdowns over 50 yards this year. Pretty amazing.
That's the
I mean,
record, right? I saw that it's the most in one season by any quarterback, and it's the most of any quarterback in the Super Bowl era.
that's crazy. Yeah. Pretty cool.
That highlight film for Justin Fields is already like it's kind of like with the Devin Hester highlight reel. You pop it on and watch all his touchdowns. Justin
It is
Fields
starting to get there.
It's like, man,
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
starting. I mean, this is not that many games, and he's already putting some stuff together, and we gotta do something with that. Let's get Robert going, and let's put together some highlight videos in the off season. I don't know, why not? It'd be fun.
Get some fancy music behind it.
Yeah, I mean, there's these purists out there that just need like the 300. It's not 300 passing yards. It doesn't count. It's like,
Yeah.
what are the yards different if you get them with your legs than is it throw them to somebody? Like, what are we doing here? Like the guys still move. I don't see people saying that about Josh Allen. I wonder what the difference is. Interesting. Anyway, what else? Yeah, my mom. Yep, absolutely. It's all heart. There's damn the pick. So, yeah, and then that ML agrees. So,
I could see it. Nice.
I like that time off. Sounds good, man.
It's funny because I have a little time off. I don't really have a sack watch this week because there was no sacks allowed. But I committed myself to that Alex Leatherwood piece. So actually, when I finish up here, I got to go do my voiceover for that and get that sent out to our brand new video intern,
It's exciting.
Zach. And I'm blanking on his last name because we just got linked up this last week. But yeah, it should be fun though.
I mean, do interns have last names?
I don't know.
We'll figure it out. We'll get it there. But no, that's exciting because we're doing what we can, but it's hard to add new skills during the middle of the year, and we kind of know a little bit, the two of us. But Robert's the guy that knows all the video stuff. We know a little bit. We can get a little stuff out. You've gotten some stuff out, little shorts.
Those shorts are easy because I can go on iMovie, do a
Yeah.
quick little thing, pop it out there, get a nice some nice interaction. It's better when they're fun though. Like I gotta try and keep it fresh, keep it loose.
So I had put out, speaking of fun, you had put out a tweet that said that we were going to fake maim somebody for clicks. So
Yeah.
I put out a poll and said, who are we going to maim? And you won.
Uh, I won. They want to
I
make
was
me.
actually surprised. I thought that Robert would run away with it.
No one
And
likes me.
so,
It's fine. I'm okay.
yeah, I don't know. I think it's because they all like you.
Oh,
But I was thinking actually it kind of works well because if I remember correctly, your significant other, your wife, does like horror photography, right?
yes, that is a little side gig we got there.
So you could actually pull this
We
off.
could pull it off. She's very good at the makeup, so she could do a nice gash or
Yeah.
something. Or yeah, it's
No, I think there's something there. And then I put another poll in the field about Jack Sanborn nicknames. I mean, we got to talk about this at some point. We got to
yeah.
dedicate some time because he's playing too well to, not try to give him a nickname here. He's got a really fun name. Um, and what prompted me with this was one, the broadcast put forth the worst possible, just a dumb nickname, the Neck. Like, get out of here with that. I have no
Oh
interest
yeah,
in that.
yeah. It's,
That's dumb. And then our guy Sam made a weird attempt. Sam, I don't know, man. Stick to photography, stay in your lane. Let me do the nicknaming. So I just put out a few examples. Sandman was one of them. Let's see, we got a vote for that. I had seen people playing off of Born, like Born Identity, Born Ultimatum, Born Supremacy. I put out Born Supremacy as an option. That got fourth. That wasn't very popular. Jackhammer is one that I had seen out there in the world, and that ended up winning. But I present to you, folks of the internet, that Jack in the Box for a box linebacker is kind of perfect and kind of amazing. Now that is my entry into the fold. It is what I would like to have coined his nickname. And after the success of the guillotine, I feel like I'm on a roll. Like, this is starting to work with the guillotine. So I don't know. Do I try to make Jack in the Box happen, or do I just embrace a less creative nickname that has a little bit more familiarity with people?
I
What do you
like
think?
the Jack in the Box. I mean, the Jack in the Box. There's like a phobia of those. Like some
Yeah,
people are
there you go.
frightened for those. You're doing the thing, the
Mhm.
music, and you're not sure when it'll pop. And it always pops. You're not expecting it. There's like an actual phobia. I saw this, and like, if you watch the movie Elf, since this is the holiday season, there's a nice scene in there where he's going through the thing, and it scares the hell out of him. So I like Jack in the Box. But we got to think it wasn't Jack in the Box a clown. Yeah, I guess that's part of it, but that doesn't have to be a clown. I mean, it could be
Doesn't have
anything.
to be a clown.
Anything's in the box,
Yeah.
you know?
And again, it has a double meaning with football. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, that to me is like
that's the
jackhammer,
key.
okay, fine, but like, that's a tool. That's not a right. I mean, what's good's that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Jack in the Box works, but
If we say it enough, put it out there enough, it may stick.
it might. John, I mean, Jack in the Box gets killed in terms of when people talk about fast food restaurants. A lot of people don't like it. I remember really liking it back when I had a fast food addiction, which is probably not too much of an exaggeration for how much fast food I ate when I was in the Pacific Northwest for grad school. But I actually remember really liking it. I thought that they had good food, and then kind of seems like they get kind of panned everywhere. So I don't know, man.
Are
Like,
there no more Jack in the Boxes in the Midwest area? Is it no longer out here?
I don't know that they're well. I had never heard of one, or not, maybe not even heard of one, but I had never been to one until I moved out west. So I
When
don't
I
know where
was
they're
when
at.
I was a little kid, there was a Jack in the Box in the in Carpentersville area. That's where I was my really early years. I remember there was one there when I was younger. Unless I'm just imagining this based on something, but I remember I'm old, so it could be possible that I just dreamt it or thought about it, or I don't know. But you know,
Well, I had known that like a Carl's Jr. and a Hardee's were the same thing, but I just recently learned that it was Carl's Jr. bought Hardee's. They kept the name Hardee's, but then they like used their they like merged their menus and their imagery or whatever. So like when I moved out west, everything was Carl's Jr., but I'm used to them being Hardee's,
Yeah.
right? And so that was like kind of a weird thing. And then I thought that they just were independent, but they had purchased them. Anyway, I spent a ridiculous portion of my calories uh, at fast food restaurants for a long time, but I have not had fast food for 15 years,
Oh
something
my
like that.
God.
Yeah. No McDonald's. And I'm talking like none of it. Not like I'm going to go cheat and grab a breakfast sandwich kind of thing. No
That's good.
McDonald's, no Taco Bell, no, none of that. It's like 15 years. So I miss it. I'm sure it's not as good as I remember.
No, it's not as good as you remember it. Every now and then we'll have some. It just doesn't taste good. Like
Yeah.
nothing can beat the home cooked meal. So
Yeah. And at some point, it catches up to you. So, all right. Well, let's get out of here. Let's grab our suitcases and go. I mean, we got other stuff we're gonna be around. I mean, I'm
Let's
gonna
do
be
it.
around Sunday and all that kind of stuff. But we do get some time off. We get at least a little break. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll be back for other stuff throughout, but just not as much over the next week. And we'll see you on this show in 2 weeks.